Hi, this is Regina and Nancy Freeland at Nancy's house in Westerville. Why we're here in Westerville at Nancy's house is because as master gardeners, we're kind of concerned about the environment and the fact that most people have yards. So Nancy, being one of those energetic gardeners, decided to turn her yard into a flower garden. Nancy will be holding a picture of what her house looked like when she bought in, and hopefully we can zoom in a little bit and you'll see that it looked like the normal house that everybody has, normal contractor landscape plants. Well, this is what Nancy's house looks like now. This is down by the street. There's a bunch of flowers here, more. And this is all Nancy's front yard. Her backyard is all shade, so we'll cover that later. So I'm gonna introduce Nancy. Nancy, have it.
Hi, welcome. Let's start this way and I'll show you my prized hydrangea. This is Quickfire. And it's probably about 7 or 8 years old, and it blooms every year. And the reason it blooms every summer is because it's on new wood. And I've cut it back several times to kind of rein in the size. But if you don't trim in early in April, you have a chance of cutting into the bloom for this year. So you want to trim back early in the spring and trim back to where you see some green. And then you'll know that that's where the growth is going to start for the year. So like I said, you can take this almost down to the ground if you want to. And it's getting quite large, and I might be doing that early next spring to rein it in a bit. It's getting a little tall for me to trim the dead, dried up blooms off. So in this circle here, I'm trying to incorporate some natives. Recently put in the rattlesnake plant. That's this one right here. I work with Terry Litchfield and her native plants, and she's really got me inspired, so I'm trying to add some natives to the garden. This is another one. This is Queen of the Prairie. So it's getting a start. Things are at the end of the season here, so they're starting to go down a little bit. But here's Joe Pye Weed. That's another native. It's a big guy. So, okay, up here I amended the soil all over the garden. I started with little plots at a time. And at the time, the big thing was Comtil. So that's what I started to put in the soil. Comtil and peat moss. So every flower bed here has been amended. People say, how do you do this? I said, well, you don't want to think about the foundation, but that's the most important part so your plants flourish. Otherwise, you're just kind of throwing your money away. And I learned that the hard way. So a lot of work, but once you get your soil amended and you get your plants in, a lot of this comes up every year, and I don't have to do a lot of maintenance or a lot of planting every year. Just a lot of trimming and watering and general maintenance.
So how long did it take you to get your garden like this?
Well, actually I started when I retired in 2005. I had some bushes out here, but I didn't have a lot of unusual plants or didn't shop garden centers so much when I worked. But after that, I started looking around at different gardens, and Inniswood Garden here in Westerville was a big influence on me because I learned a lot of plants from volunteering there. So it was just a learning experience. I could expand a little bit, not just do hostas, especially in the back, hostas and ferns, but other plants. So
When I look at your garden, it looks like it would have been an awful lot of work to turn the grass into garden beds. What was it like? And
well,
who helped you, or did you do it all by yourself? What type of tools did you use?
I've done it all by myself. In this area here, I had some crabapple trees. So when I took those out, they were a mess on the sidewalk. That's when I started mending that little strip. And it was just little strips at a time. This section over here where this hydrangea is and this Japanese maple, there was a tree here. And it didn't survive the bulldozers and the construction of the house, so that got amended. So that became a flower bed. So just little sections at a time. Just didn't feel like I had enough cut flowers. I like to cut things and bring them in, and I like anything that blooms. And foliage is another thing I enjoy. And tools, I use shovels, pitchfork. You know how tough clay soil can be. So I used comb-till and peat moss mostly at the time to amend the soil. In some places where the bulldozer didn't get close to the trees, I had some really nice soil. So there are areas that needed more help than others.
So why is a hydrangea your favorite flower or plant?
Well, they are my favorite because there's a lot of variety, and I like to cut them and bring them into the house. They just are blooming all summer, and they're really low maintenance.
Is there anything special you do to keep them blooming?
No, I feed them in the spring. I just, not too long ago, learned you're supposed to do that. And I use this Esposa plant food. Any kind that you want to use for trees and shrubs is a good product. And I just sprinkled that around the base, out around the base of the trees and shrubs. Got a hummingbird coming in.
You got
here,
two of them coming
yeah.
in. They're fighting.
Yeah. So,
Okay, how much sun does this part of your yard get?
well, it's cloudy today and the sun's straight up, but once it moves toward the west, this is shady, and then late afternoon, this gets really hot here. Late afternoon, and then toward sunset. So it gets about, I'd say 4 to 6 hours, which is, I guess, ideal. It seems like I have more sun this year than I have in the past. I don't know why that is, but I'm happy about that because this is the only opportunity I have to grow things that do well in the sun.
Okay, this is the end of part 1. Part 2 is going to be the shade garden, which we'll talk about the next time. But thank you for viewing. Nancy, thank you very much. Hopefully people will find this interesting and helpful for them.
You'll have to come back.
We will.
Again. Thank you.